Hi, Coach Joe here. Welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. And in this episode, what I want to talk about is everybody's favorite subject, adversity, right? Which obviously it's not. But if you live at all and you're in business in any way, shape, or form, let's face it, adversity is going to show up on your doorstep. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when and how many times. So what I want to do in this episode is share with you some strategies that I've developed over my 25 plus years of coaching advisors on how to deal with adversity, still move their business forward, still keep their sanity, keep things going forward. So let's talk about adversity first, and let's first define it, because all adversity is not created equal. In my experiences, there are two types of adversity. Number one is internal adversity, which I'll explain in a moment, and then the second one is external adversity, right? So here are the differences. Internal adversity, for lack of a better word, is self-imposed. It's you create it on your own. So, for example, adversity may be internal adversity may be you stop doing your morning ritual, you stop doing a daily game plan, you're just kind of in survival mode, you're not going to the gym, your energy levels suck, your health is not in good shape, you may be depressed, you may have some addictions, things like that are internally focused, right? So that's internal adversity. The next set, external, is things that happen that are in essence outside of our control. So, for example, the best example I can use here is the fall of 2008 and the spring of 2009. We had a lifetime's worth of external adversity in about 6 months. So things like, economic scenarios, market scenarios, geopolitical scenarios, weather. Right here in Florida, we have hurricanes, right? So that's external adversity. In California, you have wildfires, droughts. External adversity. This past winter in Michigan, right? Ice storms, external adversity. So there are things that happen that we don't control. So the bottom line is you need to have strategies in advance. You need to have a game plan in advance to handle these pieces of adversity when they show up. And some of you may be sitting there thinking, well, wait a second, isn't this being negative? No. It is about preparation, right? So, for example, here in Florida, I have a game plan. Look, if a Category 5 hurricane comes over Melbourne, Florida, and totally destroys my house, I am going to be getting to Atlanta, Georgia within 24 to 48 hours. I will be getting a VRBO. I have everything in the cloud. If everything's trashed, I'll go to Best Buy, get a brand new computer. I'll be up and running in 48 hours. I'll be in Buckhead in Atlanta. I know that. Why? Because I've done the research and I'm set to go. Let me ask you all a question. If your office building burnt down tonight, do you have a plan that says, if I cannot access my office, here is how I'm going to move forward? If you do not have that, you need to create that. And again, this is not negative thinking. This is preparation. Okay. So when adversity shows up, what must we do? The one thing we must do, one thing we do not want to do, is just pretend it doesn't exist and have this psychology that I am just going to out-effort it. I am going to sit there and plow through it. I'm a tough dude, or I'm a committed person, and I'm just going to make it happen. That is, to me, the same scenario as I went for a hike in the forest. I am lost, but I am going to run now. And I'm going to run with my head down, not caring about what direction I'm in. If you run with your head down in the forest, you're either going to run into something or run off of something, right? Nothing good comes of it. Same thing with adversity. You cannot just put your head down and work. You got to take a pause and look around and survey options, right? And this is why pre-planning is so important, right? For you on teams. What happens if a key team member has to take a leave of absence, right? Because maybe a fail's going on in their life. What's our plan for that? How do we handle that? And these are just some scenarios you want to take a look at. So with no matter whether adversity is internal or external, here are some rules that I want to share with you as part of this episode. Number one, simplification, right? So in other words, what you've got to look at is truly what is important, what is core, and what can be at least temporarily eliminated. So what's core? As an advisor, your core is our Magellan Core 5, right? We adhere to our morning ritual no matter what, because we got to keep our mind right. Number two, we need to stay in the communication contact game, right? So contacts. Number three, we need to make sure we're meeting with our clients, serving our clients, reviewing our clients, updating their financial plans, right? Four, we still need to talk about introductions and referrals. We need to still be in that growth mode, right? But referrals and introductions are the easiest way to grow our business because it requires some oxygen in languaging. It doesn't require a campaign. And then five, we always want to keep our KPIs. We always want to keep track of how we're doing, right? So those are the core five. And then in other places, quite frankly, you may sit there and go, we can't take on events right now. So we pivot them off, right? Conferences are no-goes, right? So we pull them off. And you just kind of scrape everything off until you get it down to your core. And running a simplified, when you're in adversity, running a simplified model will get you through it and keep you on track. And sometimes adversity, by the way, and let me also add this in there now I'm thinking about it, a lot of times, and I've had this happen, pretty much almost every year in my career, one of my clients, a key staff member, will go out on maternity leave. And depending on your state, it's a couple of months to, almost like half a year. And all positive, all good. So I guess there can be some good adversity here and there. But if you know this coming in, right, it's okay, what happens? Well, either we're going to bring a temp in for some bandwidth, right? Or what we do say, look, you know what, let's not do this. Let's, we start pulling back some things temporarily and we keep our core moving forward. The other thing that you must do when you face adversity is, okay, what's important? Well, let's talk about like concentric circles here for a second. You must take care of yourself first. So self-care is going to be priority number one. I'll explain why in a moment. Then the second thing will be the people that you care about, both personally and professionally, and then others, right? Now, why is self-care number one? And this is the analogy I use. It may not be the best one, but I think everybody will get this. They talk about when you get ready to go on an airplane, you're getting ready to take off. They go through the, most of us hopefully pay somewhat attention to that. And what do they always say about the oxygen mask, right? What do they always say? Put yours on first, right? Self-care, then help others. In adversity, the same rule applies. You must make sure you have a plan to take care of yourself. That's your morning ritual, that's your nutrition, that's your exercise program, which at some levels may seem counterintuitive, right? Because our brain, we're like in crisis mode. And we want to go ahead and just attack the problem, right? The problem with that is once the adrenaline wears off, you lose your edge. And once you lose your edge, you now create a series of bad habits, patterns that it's, they talk about slumps, right? It kind of puts you down that way and you become less and less effective. And then you really, truly go into survival mode. See, my strategy is designed to keep you out of survival mode, maybe not in high thrive mode, let's be realistic here, but in a place where you can say, you know what, I can handle this. And again, I've had clients whose spouses have had, cancers, clients who have had cancer, who've lost spouses, who've lost children, whose buildings have burnt down, who have had natural disasters. And, by having a plan in place, and again, this is not negative thinking, this is just about preparation. So the next time you have your team meeting, or if you're a solopreneur, you have your own meeting with yourself, questions. Number one, if my office were, and if God forbid, some of you may work out of your home, and I work out of my home here, so I think about, God forbid, a hurricane flattens my house. What am I going to do, right? I've already had that conversation with myself. Already have an answer to it, already have a game plan formulated, right? Ask yourself and ask your team, hey, what would happen if our building burned down, or we couldn't get access to it, or something happened to it? How would we set up shop? Right? Think about that. What would happen if, God forbid, you were unable to perform your duties as an advisor for 90 days. How would you handle that? Right? And again, this is not about putting some negative vibe on your energy or anything like that. It's just about thinking like a business owner. Thinking, we always talk about fiduciary, right? Oh, we got to operate in a fiduciary manner, stuff like that. Well, isn't fiduciary also, hey, making sure that we can serve our clients in case of? Isn't that part of this here? So I want you to also get your head around that, okay? And just recognize that adversity will come your way. For many of us, if you're of any age whatsoever, you've already had adversity. It's funny too, as you get older, the rules were different. I remember in my young days, adversity was, taking the test, right? Oh my God, I got an exam due, right? That's kind of funny now. I laugh at that. But now I think totally differently. Always have, for those clients who are watching, listening to this, you all know what I'm going to say, right? Always have a plan B, always have a plan C, always have a plan D. All right? So this is, again, not a negative conversation. I want you to think about how would you handle adversity. And again, external, no control over. Internal, total control over, right? Because if you think about it, if you're self-aware, which is kind of the name of the game here, if you're breaking your patterns down, and you're not taking care of your body, you're not doing your morning ritual, you're just kind of grinding and surviving, look, there's going to be, the bill comes due. You got to pay at some point in your life, you're going to pay the piper, unfortunately, and you don't want to do that. Your life is too precious. So just be honest with yourself. Be honest. Am I creating some potential down the road adversity for myself by the way I'm living my life, by the way I'm handling myself, by my value system, my priorities? And recognize that those are preventable in a lot of cases and hopefully solvable if not, but always have some plans in place. And again, on the external stuff, again, it's not negative thinking. You just got to work through it, okay? So with that being said, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Love to see you. Come check me out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, podcast, practicepower.net, magellannetwork.net. Come check me out. Let me help you. So there you have it. If you've enjoyed watching this episode of the Magellan Network Show here on YouTube, go ahead and make sure you subscribe to this channel. Also, I want to offer you a complimentary 14-day free trial to my group coaching and mentoring program, the Magellan Network. So go ahead and visit magellannetwork.net. That's magellannetwork.net. And I'll hook you up 14 days, no strings. I promise you that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on our next episode.